Welcome to Cooking with Cara. I decided to do this because I have gotten numerous emails and messages from friends asking me how I make my dishes. I've been posting photos on Facebook and people are like, wow, how did you do that? That's so tasty. So I decided, why not make a video and show you how to make one of my favorite brunches. I'm going to be showing you how to make a really yummy, impressive looking brunch. It is a take on a BLT, but it's going to be gluten-free and dairy-free. So first, what you want to do is get your oven preheating. So while you're doing all the rest of the prep work, that'll be hot when we put the pork belly in. All right, so I put my oven to 325. Some ovens are hot, run hot, so you can check that with a thermometer. All right, so what we want to do is we got to grab our pork belly. Now, you don't have to use pork belly. There's our pork belly. It's in some water, and we have 2 tablespoons of pink Himalayan sea salt in there and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. You can also use maple syrup. That's super yummy and gives a great taste. Or you can do a combination of brown sugar and maple syrup. And if you don't have either of those, white sugar will work just fine. Same with the salt. We use pink Himalayan, but if you don't have pink Himalayan, then just use regular table salt. Okay, just work with what you've got. Okay, so also, you don't have to use pork belly. You can use regular bacon. You can use pea meal bacon. For those who are vegetarians, you could take some tofu and marinate it in a bit of soy and some smoky seasoning overnight, and you could use that instead. So I'm going to put this in the oven. So Justin, you can come over here so they can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So I'm making enough for Justin and I. So I like to have 2 pieces of pork belly or bacon on each. And these are nice and unctuous. So you can also put them in salads. You can throw them in a stir fry. There's never anything wrong with having too much bacon, in my opinion. Okay. So I like to kind of just take a paper towel and take some of the excess moisture off of the bacon, just so it gets crispier and caramelizes a little better. Okay, great. So we're going to put this in the oven. Oh, actually, I like putting it on the bottom rack. It just gets a little, I find it gets a little crispier. Okay, so while the bacon is cooking, we're going to set the timer for 25 minutes, okay? Usually I would say, Google, set the timer for 25 minutes, but I unplugged Google when I was cleaning the kitchen, so we won't worry about that. Justin, can you just give me a 20? Oh, our Google that's in the living room picked it up, so she's going to let us know when it's 25 minutes are up. While that's cooking, now is the time for you to prepare your homemade pesto. Now again, this is an extra step. You do not have to make your own homemade pesto. You can buy perfectly good pesto in the grocery store, so it makes it quicker. But I love cooking, and I also like to control what kind of oil I use and the quality of my ingredients. And this pesto is actually going to be dairy-free. I can't have a lot of dairy. I have a sensitivity, so I make my own pesto because I find it difficult to find I guess it would be a vegan pesto out there that is up to my standards. Okay, so I washed the pesto, I washed the basil leaves and patted them dry. This is 4 cups. And all I do is I take a measuring cup and I take the leaves off and I squish them down a little bit. And this is a 2-cup measurement. So 2 of those in a bowl. I like to pre-measure and have all my ingredients out as much as possible, so that way I don't have to rush, or especially if something's on the stove cooking, something doesn't burn. I just find it very helpful. Okay, so we have our basil. So Justin, if you can swing around over here, can you see the blender? So I have a high-powered blender. It's not a Vitamix, but it's a knockoff, so it works really well. So I'm just going to put the 4 cups of basil in my blender. Sit that down. Okay, Next, I have 3/4 cup of olive oil. When you're making a recipe that's like this, it has very few ingredients. The most important thing is actually trying to find the best quality ingredients you can. It makes a huge difference. I always make sure that I buy very high quality olive oil. You don't have to necessarily get organic, but it's really good to know sometimes like where it's produced. Ask a lot of questions when you go into the grocery store. We get ours at an Italian grocery store that was owned by a family, and they love talking to you about all the great produce they have, and they actually know some of the families that produce their olive oil for them. So 3/4 a cup of olive oil. Now if that's too much for you, you can always just do a 1/2 cup, but I like a little extra unctuousness. All right, now we have to juice 1 whole lemon. My handy juicer. I got it at the dollar store. You don't need a fancy juicer. Try and get as much juice as you can out of this lemon. I find fresh lemon juice also gives it a beautiful brightness. And if you want more tart, add more lemon. Really, you can't make huge mistakes here. It's not like baking where everything has to be precisely measured and is more scientific. With cooking, there's a little, just some give and take, some leeway. All right, we're gonna dump that in our blender as well. Okay, so here is the vegan or dairy-free part of this. So normally we would use Parmesan in pesto, but I can't have Parmesan. This is nutritional yeast, sorry. It's kind of flaky. This is high in B12 actually, and it gives things a cheesy flavor. So you'll see this in a lot of vegan and vegetarian recipes. So I'm gonna put like a nice rounded 2 tablespoons into the blender. Okay, about like that. If you like it more cheesy, you can add more nutritional yeast. Okay, next we want garlic, 2 cloves, and you don't have to chop this up really tiny or anything like that because it's going to be going in the blender. So we're just going to take the end off, that kind of woody bit, and okay, it's a little bit here. This one has some, ooh, okay. I'm gonna get another clove of garlic. Just 1 second. Definitely don't want to use something like that, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna that one. There's another way to get the skins off. Apparently, if you put them in a container and you shake them all around, the skins will come off as well. But sometimes I find that just takes more time, and this is just as quick. I'm gonna just roughly chop this. When you're chopping, make sure your fingers are behind your knife, okay? Protects them. We don't want to chop a finger off. I went to the emergency myself at least 3 times last year for slicing my fingers, which prompted me to get these gloves, which are great when I'm doing a lot of chopping. Better to be safe than a trip to the emergency. Okay, next, okay, now, again, traditionally you would have pine nuts in pesto. Now, pine nuts are expensive. I do have some. I have like a tablespoon and a half or so of pine nuts. So to kind of, because they're really creamy and lovely, and they give you that kind of, I don't know, there's just something about pine nuts. So if you want to have a pesto and you don't have pine nuts and you don't want to buy pine nuts, another great substitute I have found are walnuts. They are so lovely, and you get the same kind of texture from them, and they're this nice kind of creaminess as well to them. So I'm just gonna, again, just roughly chop these with my knife before they go in. Just, you don't have to, they don't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna kind of help the blender a bit out. So we're gonna plop those in the blender as well. And you know, don't be scared of using vitamins, guys. Vitamins. Don't be scared of using nuts. Nuts are really good for you. They're full of all the good fats. I mean, as long as you're not having like a bowl, 2 bowlfuls a day. You know, they say like a handful of nuts a day is completely fine. We're gonna add our lovely pine nuts. I think they call them pinoles as well. Okay, so we have our olive oil, our basil, our nutritional yeast, our pine nuts and walnuts, and now I'm going to get some salt, just a pinch. So a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt. This is what it looks like. You can add again more or less. I find with salt, I always tend to run on less because you can always add salt, and if something's so really salty, it's really hard to balance that. Okay, here we go. We're gonna blend it up. It's gonna get noisy. That's all I'm gonna do. I don't like my pestos. I like it to have a little bit of substance. So this is what it looks like. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my God, it smells like summer. Now it's spring. I'm really looking forward to the hot weather. So there we have our pesto. So for me, this is like one of the other major flavor bombs of this recipe. Let me just test it out and see. That's perfectly balanced. It doesn't need a thing. I don't love pepper. At this point, you could add a little pepper if you enjoy pepper. I totally forgot. You should be cooking your mushrooms at the same time as your bacon, so they'll be ready together. Pork belly takes a little bit longer than regular bacon, but that's okay, because you know what? Stuff happens like this in the kitchen all the time. It is not the end of the world. The bacon doesn't have to be super hot when you put it all together, so if that comes out sooner and you gotta let the mushrooms cook a little longer, that is totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys how to clean your mushrooms, and you're not gonna use any water. I got this tip from Jamie Oliver like years ago. I have a bunch of his books, love him. Okay, so you see you're gonna hold on to the stem, and then you're gonna just take the underbelly and just gonna peel it back. And then look, beautiful, perfectly clean mushroom. I find washing them in water tends to get them, they absorb a lot of water, and they already have a lot of water in them. When they cook, you see they shrink down, release tons of water on their own. So I just don't like adding extra water to it. And actually it's kind of fun. It kind of feels really neat, peeling these like that. And you know what? And if you are not wanting to do this, you don't need to do this. I take the stem off, and I actually keep these. I cut the little bottom piece off that was dirty, and I keep these, and I put them in a Ziploc, and then I put them in with my like scrambled eggs. So don't waste. Super yummy. Still lots of yummy vitamins and nutrients in there. So we have our now if you want to be, I'm very A-type personality, so I'm going to just take that little bit off there with a knife. So all of our mushrooms have been peeled and are ready to go. I have a cookie sheet here that I put some tin foil on, and we are going to place them on. Now, we're going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the mushrooms. I found I put my finger on it just so there's not so much that comes out. You can control it a little bit better. I really should get a mister when it's on the list to get. This would be a perfect place to have one of those misters that you buy. And then you can buy whatever olive oil you want and then put it in the mister. And I like to have a little bit on the top part as well. Olive oil is really good for you guys. It's high in the good LDLs. And this is not very much. This might be like, I don't know what, 2.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay. So now you could stop here. You don't have to do anything else. But I'm all about flavor. And so I want to add a little extra zing. So I'm going to take a little bit of paprika. Oh, whoops. I was thinking of Julia Childs. I love that movie, Julie and Julia. And I have, of course, Julia Child's cookbook. And stuff used to go wrong on her show all the time. So, you know, a little bit of paprika. Paprika, you get the smoky paprika, sweet, smoky, something. A little bit of cayenne for some kick. Again, you can put whatever spices you want on these. If you want some more herbs here, you can put some dried herbs. I'm going to put just a little touch of onion powder. Oh. I know I should have used a spoon, but it's my onion powder, and I'm the only one that cooks. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Justin cooks too. But it's only us, and my hands are super clean. I've washed them like a million times today between doing things. So don't come after me for putting my finger in my own garlic powder. Oh, sorry, onion powder. Onion powder. That being said, I'm going to add a little garlic powder. I need to sprinkle that on. It just adds a lot of really yummy flavor with not very much effort. And you know, when my husband first moved to Toronto and was living on his own before he met me, he used to use Mrs. Dash on everything.
The best.
And when we got together, that was the only thing he had in his cupboard for seasoning. Salt and Mrs. Dash. I don't even think you had pepper. So Mrs. Dash is great. Not knocking Mrs. Dash. It's tasty stuff. So use whatever you have. All right, the mushrooms are now ready to go in the oven to join the pork belly that's been cooking. So I'm going to put it on the top. Actually, this is kind of halfway through, so I'm going to take it out and flip the pork belly over. So you can always set yourself a timer. You don't have to do that, but I find it's nice because it helps it to get caramelized on both sides. So you come on over, Justin, I'll show you this pork belly. You see it over there?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm turning it over. You can already see it's starting to get really lovely and caramelized. And that's happening because of the sugar that was in it, that was marinating. I'm going to stick this back in the oven. It sticks a little bit to the foil, but I always put foil down because honestly, it's so much easier to clean. All right, back in the oven you go. Okay, so the mushrooms are in, and while we're waiting for them to cook, we're going to prep our other ingredients so it can go really quick once they're done because I am starving. Okay, also, you don't have to necessarily use the mushroom. You could definitely take a English muffin and make this. But I really suggest you try the mushroom, even if you're not gluten-free. It's super tasty, and this is a very unctuous, rich breakfast. So it kind of just lightens it up a bit, and it's just a texture you can't replicate with an English muffin. So try it out. Okay, so while we're waiting, we're going to just get our vegetables ready. I'm going to put my gloves on because you know what? Cutting tomatoes, and that was the demise of 2 of my hospital visits were due to tomatoes, and the other one was due to the avocado. Apparently, like, people often going into the ER for stitches, it is due to cutting avocados. I did not know that. I think I was watching a reel. These are vine tomatoes. You can use heirlooms if they're in season. Any tomato will do. So I usually cut the bottom off and save that for a salad. And then I try and cut like, I don't know, what is that, half an inch? A nice kind of piece. We don't want it too skinny. We want some substance. So I'm going to do 4 because we have 2 mushrooms each. And honestly, there is enough. You will not be hungry. This is very filling and satisfying between the pork belly and the avocado and the mushroom. I have cooked potatoes to go with it on the side in the past, and honestly, it's just it's too much food. I did not need the potatoes, But you do you. If you want extra on the side, then make some potatoes, some hash browns, salad. But there is going to be salad on it, so I wouldn't recommend salad. But okay, so the tomatoes are cut and we are ready. We're going to put those aside. Oh, I should have kept my gloves on because we are cutting the avocado. Okay, so we need I would suggest using a chef's knife. Last time I used this, not good. And I didn't have the gloves. The gloves make all the difference. There's like these little bumpy, plasticky something things so you have grip. And there's apparently steel wool in these. But I'm still careful when I'm using these gloves. So I'm going to just do a little cut. And then I keep my fingers on top of the avocado. Last time my thumb was right here and that's why it got sliced. I was not paying attention. And then you just slide it around like so. Oh, lovely. To get the seed out, if you don't want your fingers in the way, you can just kind of lightly on the side and hit it hard. And then you just twist, poop, and it comes out. And then just be careful. I just take my thumbs and I push it off. So I don't have to get my hands next to the blade. All right, then we need a big spoon. And we just, and then that way, look, see how perfect comes out? Lovely. I may or may not use a second avocado. I shall see. I love lots of avocado. We'll start with one. You can always add a second one if you run out. You don't have enough. All right, so avocado's done. We're going to leave the gloves on, Cara, because we still need to slice it. So I like to just flip it over, go down the middle, and then just see how lovely. So you can do that. Or you can have bigger pieces. Again, there's no wrong way to cut this avocado. We just want it in some nice pieces. I think I'll just do half moons on this one. Okay, avocados cut and ready. I do believe we're going to need more, but that is okay. And then we have some lettuce. So this is a mixed kind of greens. It has like some romaine and there's red lettuce and there's a radicchio. It's like an Italian or spring mix. You don't need that. You can use arugula. Is wonderful. Has a peppery taste. You could use romaine lettuce and just cut it up, or you just put one big sheet. You could use iceberg lettuce. You could use spinach, baby spinach, whatever you like, you use, and whatever's in the house. This is meant to be easy and tasty. All right, so that's it for now, and we will do the rest once the mushrooms and the bacon are cooked. So the mushrooms are ready. Come and take a look. You see how much they shrunk? And that they're so much thinner too. They are looking perfection. These would also be super yummy on the barbecue. So our bacon is lovely and look at that, golden. Now, if you're the type of person that wants crispier bacon, then do crispier. But I don't. I like mine to have a little bit of a juiciness to it. So, and I'm using tongs, my favorite cooking utensil. All right, so those are all done. Now we're gonna assemble. Here's the fun part. We're getting close to being ready. All right, so I'm gonna take my plate, and this is Justin's plate. So we have 2 small mushrooms and 2 large ones. So we'll do 1 big cup and a smaller cup. All right, we'll come back for the bacon. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna start the layering process. So here's our homemade pesto. Yum. So I like to take a little bit of that and then we're gonna smush it around. Actually, I'm gonna get another spoon so I don't double dip. So we're just gonna spread this around like so. A little layer of pesto. Oh my God, it's so pretty. The color. I wish you could smell it, guys. It smells really fantastic. Like the garlic and all those spices we put on the mushrooms. Yummy, yum. Okay. Pesto. Now, I have done this several ways, and in terms of what goes on the bottom layer, how do we layer this up? And I looked it up online, and they said to add the densest things on the bottom and then the lighter things as you go. I like to finish with the tomato on top because it just looks pretty. And usually, once you cut into it, it's not going to stay pretty, but it's still going to taste good. I also feel like when I add the lettuce on the bottom, it's better because it provides a cushion and it just stays a little better. So I'm actually going against what I just told you to do. So, but you do you, like I say. And then the next thing I would suggest is the avocado. Take my smaller knife just to... So again, there's no right or wrong way to put the avocado on. Just load it up. There's a bigger piece, so we'll just kind of, you know, it's going to taste the same whether it's perfect or not. Imperfections are good. Okay, I think this needs one more piece of avocado. Okay, that looks yum. Okay, now we are going to add the pork belly. Put 2 pieces of pork belly on each one. Oh my God. I'm so hungry. I didn't realize how many takes of some things I'd have to do. Okay, so there we have. We have 2 pieces of beautiful pork belly. Oh my goodness, so tasty. And then pièce de résistance. Oh, résistance. Pièce de résistance. And I am French. Okay, there we go. Isn't this looking lovely? Now, here's the magic. Wait, it's like the pesto being drizzled over top just totally transforms this dish. Oh my goodness. Guys, who would not want to eat this? Now, I'm being really pretty with this pesto right now, so, but like, you should see my plate. It doesn't look pretty. I just have pesto like all over the plate, all over the tomato. But, you know, we eat with our eyes. It's all about presentation. Okay. So I'm going to add some pepper because it's Justin's. And it just also makes it look pretty. Okay. So guys, there you have it. Mushroom BLT. It's so unctuous. It's just... If you've never had pork belly, I strongly recommend you try it. You can find this anywhere. We found this at Sobeys. I found it at Foodland. It comes in a package. Sometimes, like most of the time, already sliced for you. And all you have to do is brine it the night before in that mixture I told you. Water that covers it. 2 tablespoons of pink Himalayan sea salt. 2 tablespoons? That's a lot. Yeah? Okay. 2 tablespoons of pink sea salt and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. You can tell who does the brining. Justin does the brining and I do everything else. So there it is. Enjoy.